Let's be honest, high school is such a weird time, full of change, so naturally we are going to have a lot of questions, especially talking about life after high school and graduation. If you're listening to this and you're in high school, you're probably inching closer to that big time period when you have to make the life-changing decision at such a young age. To help ease your discomfort, I am going to be answering some frequently asked questions about senior year, graduation, working, and adult life. I'll be your big sister for today, sharing advice that I wish I had when I was undecided. I'm Leah Leverich, a class of 2022 high school graduate exploring every path to success after senior year. Let's expand your mind to what's out there and narrow down your options so you can make a graduation decision with confidence. You're listening to Decision Day.
The Decision Day podcast is brought to you by the Rise and Record event in Nashville, Tennessee. Rise up and share your story through video. Visit riseandrecord.com for more.
Let's get into it with the real frequently asked questions. These are either DMs that I've received or comments on a recent video, or even I asked my sister, who is a sophomore in high school, for a few as well. So the first question is going to be, how much stress will I have senior year and how do I deal with it? This is going to probably depend on how much you've prepared yourself in your earlier years of high school. I think starting to find your decision for life after graduation, you can start as early as middle school. But if you're finding yourself in junior year, senior year, like I was, still not with an answer, it's totally okay. There's no need to panic and there's no rush. I think the best place to start is with career exploration, whether that's job shadowing or internships or reaching out to people in careers that you're interested in. I know a lot of times, I faced it personally, our counselors are telling us, what college do you want to go to? And it might feel like the only path, but if you figure out what career feels best for you, then you can work backwards and see what education, training, certificates, experience, or college is required for the specific career that you want to enter. If academics or grades are stressing you out, remember that they're probably going to have a different level of impact depending on the career that you want to enter. So if you're a doctor, obviously it's going to make more sense if you are getting really good grades, you understand all of the material, especially in medical school. It's going to make more sense that you need those grades and knowledge in the field. But personally, working as a multimedia and video production manager, I've never been approached so far about my education or the grades that I got in high school, but that doesn't mean that I didn't take high school seriously. So if you're working really hard and understanding the material, the good grades will naturally follow. And then if you're struggling in a subject, which for me, physics was a nightmare, get used to asking for help because this is applicable to anything working in the real world. Adults are used to being asked for help and also asking for help. I know I ask for help all the time in the career that I have right now. I need to understand fully what I'm doing in order to do a good job. So if you make it a habit now while you're in high school to go up to your teachers and ask for help if you don't understand something or get help after class, that would be a great place to start. So to eliminate that stress senior year, place more focus on asking for help and the effort that you're putting in rather than the actual numbers. Even if it's life after high school, ask someone for help. A teacher could give you insight about different careers you might know are out there. A counselor can do more than you probably think. My counselors personally were helping us with resumes and job applications. I didn't even know they were doing that because I didn't ask for help. The goal of all of this preparation is eventually for us to get a job. And one of the easiest ways to get hired or paid for your expertise is through connections. So to give you an example, if I wanted to apply for a local grocery store and I knew somebody who worked at that grocery store, I could get referred by them. I could get a one-on-one connection into the top people who are hiring in the grocery store. I'm more likely to get that job because I know somebody who works there because of my connections versus somebody who just applies like everyone else. In order to start to grow your network, it's never too soon. You can start on LinkedIn. I personally love LinkedIn recently. It's like a little professional Instagram. It's kind of fun, honestly. You can start reaching out to people that your parents work with, family, friends, any working person that you know. They might be on LinkedIn, so it might be worth searching them, connecting with them, reaching out to them, anything that you can do to start building your network and then grow from there. These connections kind of snowball, and the more you do it, the more you'll realize that everyone knows everyone. It's like it's a small world. Like sometimes it really is a small world, especially when you're networking. But while talking to these people, you never know what career they might introduce you to that you probably had no idea existed. The next question we have is, I have been meaning to reach out to a few people from the marketing industry since I'm interested in marketing, but really want to know more how to reach out to people first. I feel you. You never just want to send a text and hope for the best. It is good to be prepared. So LinkedIn and email are the most credible I've found. You can start by asking people you know. Maybe you can look up on LinkedIn, for your specific example, marketing careers local to you. You can reach out to them, see if you can get on a call with them and ask them about their job and how they got there. When you are on LinkedIn, make sure that your profile has as much information about you as possible, whether that's volunteering, education, job experience, honors, publications. I think I filled out all of those, but if you can fill out as many as you possibly can, that just makes your profile and yourself look more credible. I'm going to give you specific examples of wording that I've used in messages to reach out to people. This first one is actually a guy that my dad used to work with. He works in the music industry for Disney. So I just sent him a message on LinkedIn after connecting with him, and this is what I said. Feel free to use this, change it for yourself. Hi, his name. It's so nice to connect with you. My dad was just telling me about your career in the music industry, which sounds super interesting. If you're open to it, I'd love to learn more about what you do. Thanks again. I hope you have a great Friday. That's it. If he responds and says yes, of course, I'd be happy to help or give you some insight, which 9 out of 10 times people in the working world will be more than happy to help a young person who's curious. Then you can follow up with setting up the date, the time, if it's a Zoom call, if it's a phone call, in person, whatever it is. And then if you want to work with someone more high level, this is where we get vulnerable. I did reach out to Mike Rowe. He was the host of the show Dirty Jobs, and he's a current advocate for work ethic and entering the trades and taking a non-traditional path. So I'd love to talk to him more in terms of Decision Day. And I emailed him. I found an email, and this is exactly what I said. So you can use this as well if you're reaching out to someone who's a bit more higher up that you might not have that direct connection with. I said, "Hey Mike, class of 2022 high school graduate here. I love and completely agree with the message that you promote about the way college educations are changing and the value of work ethic among the youngest generations. So I've stated that I know what he's talking about. I know about him. I'm not just emailing him blind." And then I also said, "I've been sharing your recent speaking engagements to social media and any young adults who will listen. So I'm already taking action. I'm already familiar with him and I'm already promoting him." So that's like me helping him. So far, I've only talked about him, not about myself. Now is when I introduce myself by saying, "I'm Leah Leverich, a 20-year-old who took a non-traditional path by entering the workforce right away. I host a podcast called Decision Day. It's the resource I wish I had as an undecided senior. It offers career exploration, advice on adult life, and finance 101. So I had 2 sentences there, maybe 3, summing up who I am and what I do and showing him that our visions kind of align. And then I ended it by saying, "I'm eager to learn more about the working world, especially your expertise with the trades, so that I can share it to as many students as possible." That's the purpose behind it. "And if there's any potential way to connect further or collaborate, I'm absolutely open to it." So that is where I am open to any chance to talk to Mike Rowe. If you can kind of tailor this sort of email for yourself, maybe you're offering some sort of service or product, or you're just curious in general, you might be able to use that sort of script when you're reaching out to someone higher level. Make sure you always end it with "thank you so much, have a great weekend, have a great rest of your week." And then I always put "best, comma," and then return Leah Leverich. Email etiquette is a big one. I can totally do a separate video on that, but all of this will make you sound more credible, and it'll make it more likely for you to work with these people or to learn more about all of these industries. So that is how you can start to reach out to people. The next question is going to be, "I'm almost done with high school. I have no idea what major I want to go into. I have a few in mind, but I don't want to end up in a job that I don't like and won't make me money. Any advice?" Okay, don't pick your career based on the money. Pick it based on if it's what you're meant to do. I hear a lot of young people, their goal is to be a millionaire, billionaire. They want to buy this car, they want to buy this house. Those are great goals to have, but it's not going to help you narrow down your career, because I tried this route. I thought I wanted to be a dermatologist, and the only reason for that was I looked up how much dermatologists make, which said about $500,000 a year once you get really into it, and I was sold on that, and I ended up fainting while job shadowing a dermatologist who actually was a past Decision Day guest, Dr. Nana Duffy. Check out that episode titled "The Medical Field" to hear her reaction about me remembering that I fainted. But it was kind of like karma for picking a career just because of the money. So I learned my lesson there. Hopefully you can learn your lesson from that awkward experience. But when you are trying to figure out your career, find opportunities to make money, but don't necessarily be focused on the dollar sign. If you become the best at something you enjoy or you're really good at, the opportunities will follow. Think about it. If you're an expert in your industry, who wouldn't want to pay you for your wisdom? And right now with technology, there's opportunities everywhere to be making money. If you become the best and most informed about something, there will be opportunities for you. So just find that one thing that you really want to learn more about that fires you up. Then you can find a career or potential to make money afterwards, after you've figured that out. Again, if you are an expert in your industry, who wouldn't want to pay for your wisdom? In terms of the fear of ending up in a career that you won't like, don't assume that you won't like a job until you try it. You could job shadow or intern to get a sense of a specific career before you commit. But also, if you find yourself committed to a career that you don't feel fulfilled in, you can always pivot. Past Decision Day guest Sheila Kennedy, her episode is titled Making Money as a Writer. She's had multiple career paths and she's still changing it and she's still successful. And notice how I said fulfilled versus like. I know in the question it said a job that you won't like. No one really likes to work. I mean, we probably wouldn't prefer it. So if you don't feel fulfilled in your career, that's when you can find something else that gives you a feeling of purpose. Okay, we're doing good. Next question. I'm 25 and I wanted to go back to college this fall. I have my degree in arts, but I took a bunch of psychology courses. I wanted to go back to college because I need to be able to live rather than just keep working at places that I know aren't my end result. I feel like my passions aren't there anymore for anything. So, before jumping right back into college and possibly putting yourself in more debt, first of all, there's no rush to have it figured out. If you try a career in psychology using the courses that you have under your belt and you don't like it, again, you can always pivot, you can always change your path. So many people that I've interviewed have said there's no linear path to success, and that might go back to job shadowing and internships to find a specific career that aligns with the education you already have. If you find yourself really infatuated by a career where maybe you do need that extra education, then that might justify it. Like if you have the psychology courses and you want to go more into the medical side, but you need a medical degree to go there, maybe it'll be worth it to get that further education for you. But just getting on a call with someone from a specific career could help you narrow it down. And then afterwards, you can ask around and see what specific education or training would be required for that. But I love the options that you have. At least you have options and you're taking action, but don't feel like you need to know your end result right away, especially at 25. I don't think if you ask somebody in their 60s, they even knew what they were doing at 25. A nice segue into the next question, which is actually, what if I'm almost 30? Again, it's never too late. I've interviewed so many people who have changed their path later in life. I know, for example, on the episode called England's Decision Day, Simon Leslie worked in the travel industry for a majority of his career before he decided to switch gears, and he now is running a soccer team in the UK. Also in the book Think and Grow Rich, The Legacy, current read, I'm just going to be quoting here because I'm not 30, but I do know people like the story of James Hill. He's the grandson of Napoleon Hill, who wrote the original Think and Grow Rich. Both of those books could definitely help you mindset-wise, especially at 30. James Hill, he said, if you cannot make a decision to do something, you will never make a decision to do anything. So at 30, just decide to do something and see where it takes you rather than not deciding and being kind of at a standstill. James was also a Marine for the first part of his life, and he decided to train to become a pilot at age 30. And then following that, he always had a dream of entering the medical field, so he applied for medical school at age 47. Again, it's never too late. The next question I received, this is actually a comment under one of my videos that I posted. I got really worried at first, but then we had kind of a full circle moment. This comment said, I have no talents, no strengths, nothing to offer this world after high school. I don't think your podcast can help, but I hope it helps other people. I totally understand this feeling. In my senior year, I just wanted to know the answer. I wanted to skip all of the middle part and just get to the answer. But I responded to this comment by saying, don't doubt yourself. You're probably good at a bunch of things and you don't even realize it. However, you'll be able to enjoy the ride once you figure out your purpose. If you understand who you want to help through your career, it will make your decision for life after high school so much easier. For example, I decided that I want to help young adults who feel confused during high school navigate life after graduation. So that is kind of the purpose, is helping undecided students who felt the same way I did and preventing them from feeling those horrible, confusing feelings in high school. That's the overall purpose. When people ask me what I want to do in 10 to 15 years, I always say I want to empower women in some way. So if my future career, which I might not even know exists yet, is empowering women, then I'll feel fulfilled. In order to find your purpose, again, this is from the book Think and Grow Rich: The Legacy, really sit down, write out, what are you good at? What do you love? And what solution are you bringing to the world? So what are you good at? What traits do you naturally have? What comes easy to you? What do you love to do? Not what you're passionate about, because nobody knows what their passion is. Well, it's rare to know what your passion is at such a young age. Think about when we were in elementary school or even high school, when we had to do those projects on water scarcity or poverty or climate change. Is there something like that that really lights you on fire, like you want to make a change? And then with all of that, you can kind of narrow down and research and figure out what career aligns with all of those things. But just writing it out and really understanding it and being aware of what you're good at and what potential careers would be right for you really makes a difference. Build that purpose into your subconscious and the universe will get out of your way to make it happen. This next question is from my little sister. She's going to be a sophomore in high school. She says, is college like high school? Now, I can't speak on this from personal experience because I've entered the workforce after graduating, but if you listen to the past episode on Decision Day called Adjusting to College, I interviewed my friends Leah and Maddie. Leah goes to the Fashion Institute of Technology. Maddie goes to Purdue University. They kind of explained transitioning from high school to college in that episode. But from what I gather, speaking to my friends, it will depend on where you choose to go. So if you choose to go to a school close to you, maybe it's a smaller school, you're probably going to see a lot of people you went to high school with, and that might not be as big of a shift, especially if the environment is the same. But I think the biggest thing, even my mom used to tell me this all the time because she went to college, the expectations from teachers and professors are very different. So teachers in high school have to help you succeed. They don't want to fail you. They'll probably hound you to turn something in, or they'll remind you, they'll follow up with you, they'll call you down to their classroom. But professors don't do that. They don't even track you down if you don't show up to class. So in college, you're going to have to reach out for that help. Like we mentioned, you're going to have to go to the professor if you don't understand something, versus in high school where the teacher comes to you. The biggest difference that I can also attest to entering the workforce is the responsibility that you have for yourself. So if it's going to class or working on an assignment, or for me, getting work done by a deadline or editing a video by a certain date, it's up to you or me to be prepared. The best way to be prepared is to be organized. I use Google Calendar for everything to keep track of meetings or in-person stuff or events. You can use a Google Doc to make a list of to-dos. I was like a tangible person. I needed to write out a list of things to do, people to reach out to, maybe careers that you're thinking about. If you're organized, you will be prepared and it'll help you be responsible for yourself. But all of this will ultimately allow you to grow more independent and mature if you choose to be responsible with the work that you're doing. Because we all know the stereotypical college life, the environment, the fun aspects of it, but your discipline is definitely going to be tested by your surroundings. So I think those are the biggest differences. High school is kind of like its own bubble. You get to go home at the end of the day. College and entering the workforce, you're more on your own, you're more independent, so more of it's up to you. The last question. It feels like I can't take a gap year because in school, everyone has to sign on a board where they're going to college. I actually had this happen to me. It was a horrible feeling. My English teacher, no offense to her, she did put a poster up on the wall and we had to go up and sign our name and where we were going to college. And at that time, it felt like college was the only option and I had no idea where I wanted to go or what I wanted to do. So I was very insecure and embarrassed by this time. But I do understand that for some people, it is celebrating the path that they choose and the college that they got into. It's just a lot of students find themselves feeling compared and rushed, especially when it comes to taking a gap year or taking time in between. If I can go back to this moment, I would definitely wish that I just owned it more or not put too much thought into it, because I know a lot of people that wrote on that poster have probably changed their plan numerous times since writing on that poster. But also, if I had the option, I probably wouldn't participate, honestly. How I view it is, this is your decision for life after graduation, so it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks as long as it makes you happy. I just wish that I owned my decision or any uncertainty that I had and just took time to understand it for myself, because I was going to be the one dealing with that decision. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks or what anyone else is doing, because it's your life, so make the decision for yourself. Gap year specifically, you can totally take one if it feels like what you need. I actually learned from interviewing Lauren Curran on the episode Australia's Decision Day. She lives in Australia, and it's very normal and almost encouraged over there to take a gap year to figure out what you want to do because it's such a young age. Now, of course, university is much less expensive over there, but you can definitely take time to explore and to figure out what you're good at, what you really like, if you need that time away from the high school environment. My semester off, where I took the summer to organize a portfolio to apply for the spring semester, that time that I had away from the high school environment, away from all those people, is when I really had the freedom to realize who I was, my personality, even my sense of humor, what goals I wanted, what my purpose was. I had time to reflect and really understand what I wanted, and I felt very mature because you just graduated high school. Like, you have your whole life in front of you, but that time is when I really understood the most about myself, and I'm very glad I had that few months to really make my decision with confidence and then eventually not continue to go to college in that spring semester. It's going to be different for every person. I feel like the stereotype is gap year students will take time off and then they will never go back to school because you get so comfortable not being in that disciplined environment, but it's going to be different for every person. If you're still working and hustling and doing things during your time off and you're moving the needle closer to that career that you feel like you want to enter, you should be fine as long as you're not just like lounging by the pool. I think a gap year could be very beneficial, especially if you travel. It could open your mind to the world that's out there. It could make you think about things differently. It could show you an opportunity that you never knew existed. All in all, don't let the pressures from society dictate your path after graduation. Whew, okay, I want to help you feel as prepared as possible. So if you want another FAQ episode like this one, I'd be happy to answer any questions that I can. And if your question didn't get answered or you have another question, you can leave it in the anonymous Google spreadsheet that I'm going to be putting in the description. Type in your question. I would love to help you in any way that I can feel confident for life after graduation. If you'd like to join the Decision Day community or get involved further, you can follow us on social media at Decision Day Podcast or me at Leah Leverage. For some longer messages, if you want to practice your networking and sending out emails, you can email it to me, decisiondaypodcast@gmail.com. Especially if you want to be a sponsor. Thank you for listening and thank you for watching. If you're on YouTube or Spotify, I can't wait to share a new perspective with you in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Decision Day podcast. If you know a student in high school, ask them to listen or share an episode with them. And as always, we love hearing from you. Share your stories with us on social, Decision Day Podcast. Until next week. Decision Day Podcast is sponsored by the Rise and Record event, Nashville, Tennessee. riseandrecord.com for more info.